Hello, welcome back to the ministry. This is Taj McCameron, and today the Lord gave me a revelation, and He gave it to me in relation to these things that we go through as children of God. Sometimes we can spend time in the presence of God, and because we spend time in the presence of God, it kind of leaves you, and raise your hand. Give me hands in the comments if this is you. If you really are a type of person that spends time in the presence of God, I'm talking about anywhere from hours to days in the presence of God. When you come out of that space, it almost is like, and this is the revelation He showed me. He showed me that you ever see them space movies when you see the spaceship coming back into the orbit of the world. There's a differentiation in the space-time continuum of the universe where you have the black part. It's that black part, like when you see the universe and the planets, it looks like the sky at night part of the universe, right? And then you have the orbit of our world. You notice that during the day when you're walking through the streets of whatever city you live in, you notice how you don't see that part? Because there's an actual spiritual or boundary that prevents you from being able to see that part in space, where space meets the first layer of the earth, right? But when a spaceship is coming through that, think about it, and it's coming to touch back down to Earth, it's almost like a level of inertia. I'm not a space person, so I don't know all the words, but it's almost like a level of inertia, and it's a level of pressure that comes against that ship as it enters back into the Earth's orbit, or the Earth, to come to touch down and land. I was literally sitting yesterday because I had spent some time in the presence of God, and I came out of that space, and everything went back to how it had been after I'd been in that time, in that place with the Lord. And it was almost like my internal clock depressed itself. And I was like, what the heck is going on? It's the pressure. Think of it. The pressure of re-entering after spiritually being in the presence of the Lord to come back into the presence of the reality of your day-to-day life. And this is an actual thing, and I'm going to tell you how it's an actual thing. I would spend time in the presence. I've been doing this for years now. And I would spend time in the presence of the Lord. And the first time I used to do it, I actually was still a meat eater at the time. So I would notice that the first 24 hours of the transition back into eating meat, after having spent present time in God, it was like time was slowed down. And I was like, excuse me, why does it seem like my day, every step I take seems like it's taking 15 minutes longer for me to get where I was trying to go? Because it's like the pressure of you trying to return to the equilibrium of the day-to-day momentum that you were not in had to come back into alignment. Because you were in a completely different spiritual space. You were like in the heavenlies, and you came back down to earth. And it was like your body had to adjust to that. Think about this. Even, astronauts, when they come out of being in space for a period of time, it takes them a few days to adjust to being back on the equilibrium of the earth. Same thing. I was watching a TV show. I used to watch CSI, and the new one had come out, and one of the characters from the old show was on there, and he had sea ears because he had been on a boat. Catch this. He'd been on a boat for almost 3 to 7 years or something like that with his wife. So majority of the time they were on water. So think about the buoyancy of water, and you're not used to being on solid ground. So when he stepped on solid ground and remained on solid ground for an extended period of time, his equilibrium was off. And he was trying to focus, but he couldn't get himself together. And he was talking to his wife about the fact that I'm going to need your help because I can't get balanced. And that's how some of us feel. A lot of times we try to make it woo, 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 about the fact that, oh, I was just in the presence of God, and because I'm experiencing this pressure, that means my breakthrough is this close and this, that, and the other. Some of it's just an equilibrium from coming from the spirit realm to rebalancing to the natural realm. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense, because this is the revelation that God gave me when I was trying to figure out why I felt so depressed the other day. And I was like, oh, I came out. It's like Jesus being on top of a mountain. Think about being on top of a mountain. Think of the lack of oxygen. Think of the air is different. Think of all of that. And then coming back down to earth, to the regular sea level. They call it sea level, where land is. You think that your equilibrium's not going to be a little bit off after you were up on the top of a mountain for 2, 3 days, 4 days? The weather was different up there. Everything was different up there. And you had to come back down to sea level. And that's not going to feel different. You're not going to feel uncomfortable. And you're wondering why. Oh my God, don't allow depression. Don't allow the enemy. Sometimes it's not the enemy. It's just atmospheric shift. It was an atmospheric shift. That's all it was. You went from being on the top of a mountain to being back down on earth. Hear me with your spiritual ears. You were in a spirit realm with the Lord, on top of the spiritual mountain, and you had to come back to reality. You were in you know how they say that heaven as it is, bring heaven as it is in heaven on earth. You was just in heaven for 3, 4, 5 days, or whatever experience you were under, and then you come down to earth. It feels different down here. The energy level feels different. The reality of things feel different. And you technically seek to go back to that level. I say this sometimes. Water seeks its own level. So if you spiritually desire to be up here, you're not going to feel content being down here. Some people don't understand that. This is what you see happen. Focus with me. You see a lot of people that are spiritually imbalanced, and they'll turn around and end up taking their lives because they don't understand. They are a spirit in a human body. And because they are a spirit in a human body, going through a human experience, if they touch the woman with the issue of blood, let me touch Jesus' garment. For that one moment, they got to experience heaven on earth. When I touched it, when I came into contact with it, I got to experience without going all the way up there, But for those of us that go up there in the spirit realm, and I'm not talking woo 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 universal hallucination. I'm talking about sitting before the Lord, consecrating before the Lord, being in the Lord's presence. In His Word, in His prayer time, in that. And in you making that choice and that decision, coming to the recognition that, wait, what? That you were just in a spiritual place with God and you had to come down from there and deal with everybody else and the realities of not being in that place. And you experience certain equilibrium shifts in your body. You might even go through nausea. You may go through all kinds of stuff in the body because you're like, I'm not where I was, and this doesn't feel good. And you're adjusting to that shift. Happens to me almost every time. I just have to learn to deal with the symptom of it and keep moving. You understand what I'm saying? Am I making sense? And I want to also come at it from this point as well. Think about a celebrity. I said this in my word called, I believe it's when I did the review of the 5 songs on having your superpower. Okay? And when you have a superpower, right? Your superpower is your spiritual life. Think of it like this. Your superpower is your connection to God in all of this. You are an exalted spiritual being when you are walking with the Lord. Don't woo-woo me, please. Don't get in. Follow me. I need you to follow me. I need you to focus. You are exalted in the spirit realm because you have gone through the process of sitting in the presence of the Lord and seeking His face. Okay? So I can make this clear to y'all. And because you saw His face, He revealed secrets to you. But when you came down from that, it's the equivalent of a celebrity having a major achievement, getting all of this attention, having all of this publicity, all of this. Then they gotta go home and be mom, or they gotta go home and be dad. And that kid don't care. That kid's like, is my dinner going to be ready? That kid is like, and so? That's what you do on a daily basis. What does that matter to me? To them, you realize that to us, they're celebrities. To their family, they just mom, they just dad. That's what they do on a day-to-day basis. Like the individuals that go to work every day and to a regular job, it's just to their kids, their regular job is they got a performance tonight. They got a this tonight. That's mom and dad's job. So their kids are sitting up there when they come home after having had a major experience. I remember hearing a celebrity say that one time. It's like they had this major thing, went home and said to their kid something, and their kid brought them right back down to earth. Their 10-year-old brought them right back down to earth. And it's the battle. I even recall hearing Jim Carrey make this point that when you are in a high position and your entire environment is your performance, when you go home, it's hard to be you because you got to turn that off and just be. And this is why you see creatives suffer from depression, because it's almost the same equivalent to going into the spirit realm and being with God, having the spiritual experience that you had, and then coming down. And then you're looking at the world around you and you're like, I want to go back over there. You think there are celebrities that went through a major achievement and they're like, when's the next show I gotta do? Because being at home with average folks that don't get it. It's another reason why you need to marry a partner that's aligned to being in a relationship with you, because they're not going to get it. They're not going to understand. And it'll be like you're living in a house with a bunch of strangers. If your partner doesn't understand what you do for a living, they only see it from the perspective of what they see. So it's going to be almost like you're fighting in your environment at home to maintain your home environment. And then you have to go out and be this in your public environment. It's the equivalent of going into the spirit realm, spending that time in the presence of God, and coming back down. And everybody in your environment around you is like, so what? You was in the presence of God. Why? You're a celebrity out there, but we don't care in this house. You understand what I'm saying? So the Lord brought me that revelation. I kind of just wanted to bring that to you. This is why you got to pray for creatives. This is why you got to pray for children of God, because of the fact that the way that God has laid creativity in creatives, that has positioned them to even be able to sit in seats of celebrity. Because the gifts are without repentance. God freely pours his gifts on people. That's why children of God can have the gifts, and then the celebrities have these things. It's not that either are any different, but everybody wants to ridicule a child of God because they made the decision that they took their gift and took the path that others wouldn't travel and actually became a celebrity and actually is honoring God with it. There are religious Christians that will curse them out for doing that. And they cursing their own people out. I sat and watched documentary, a mini documentary where they were talking about the group Trinity 571. I'm not sure, but you know the group I'm talking about. And when I tell you the religious Christians talked about that group like they were the worst people in the world. Like, they're speaking the gospel. They're saying what they're saying. Their clothes are way too worldly. They should be dressing like nuts. It's the same thing I heard when it came down to is a young minister I listened to. She about 3-4 years older than me, and she has a very authoritative vocal presence on YouTube, and she don't care. She would tell you she don't care, and you should call you out on it too. If you try her, that's one you just don't deal with. If you a baby Christian, don't go into any of her broadcasts, because she gonna show you what she gonna tell you, and your emotions will be butthurt every time. But she get you straight. You go to her if you want to be in a boot camp. That's where you go. If you really need your salvation to get to where it needs to go real quick, and you want to exercise it real quick, I'm telling you, what you're going to need to do is you go to her. Because she going to put you through a boot camp. Like, you know how the military people will bark at you? That's her. And people literally have gone into her comments and said to her, can't you say that nicer? I wish you would say that nicer. Can you just say that nice? She said no. That's your problem. You want it nice all the time. It's another minister I used to listen. Well, I listen to her all the time now anyway. But she said when she was rebuking somebody openly, she did it in a very classy manner. She didn't yell at them, but it wasn't loud. It was a monotone, but you knew that she was very authoritatively pointing out, this is what you're not going to do. Not in my broadcast. Not only that, she started pulling their cards because she was prophetic. She started pulling what she saw. That's how she got them. She started pulling what she saw. It's like, I see this, I see this, I see this, and I see this. She does it every once in a while still. But that's how she gets people straight. The scripture says in it to be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. I believe that the Lord has put me in a season to learn. And that's what I have been doing these past 2 years, is learning how to be wise as a serpent, but gentle as a dove. And I think I finally got it. And that's why my season is up in the season that I'm in. And that's also why the Lord has allowed for people to gain access to me to the degree that they have. Because he said she's ready for that. Because she's finally learned how to be wise as a serpent, but still yet gentle as a dove. And some of you need to learn that. But it takes, let's go back to the beginning point. It takes going into the secret place with the Lord. It takes making that decision to go into his presence, learn what it is that the Lord's trying to show you, and to walk through it. So I wanted to make sure that I made that point. And I just came to a realization. I was recording this on the phone. I was supposed to also record it for my podcast, and I didn't. But that's okay. I think I can figure out how to strip the audio and still use it. I'll look for something to do that. But I hope this blessed you, because I hope this revelation is something that you could gain wisdom from as well. Because if the Lord is now giving me you guys to steward, I want to try my best to steward you as best as I possibly can in this season that he has you under my tutelage. And I'm going to take you into my prayers. I want to end this message off like this, since we've been talking about being in a secret place. I remember there was a ministry. I used to follow her ministry pretty frequently, and they would do a consecration every weekend. And I was doing it anyway, so I said, let me join you guys. But they had a list of prayer requests, right? And on their website, but people weren't responding to them. People would post, people would make comment, but people weren't actually responding to their issue. So one weekend, I knew I was going into a secret place with God. And I went. And I took all of the prayer requests that I saw that weekend in that prayer list. And I believe it was like 41. And I took them back to the Lord. And I prayed. And the Lord just poured into me. what he wanted to say to these individuals' comments. And I think that was the practice for this, because he poured so many answers and responses. I'm sure they thought that I worked for that person's ministry. No, I just happened to be there, and I was paying attention to their needs. Because even I would post things and nobody would respond to them. But the responses I got when I responded back after actually going into the prayer space for those people, they thanked me so much for having given them the response. They were like, I did not think of it like that. God really is using you. And that's why I do this. And now, and if you look, for those of y'all that enjoy my videos, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and look. It's a short I did, and this particular short says respond in the comments for prayer. That's what the whole short is about. I want you to go into that and post your prayer requests. What I may also do is put a post up on in the community with these responses. Look, it's 111. We're gonna learn about the Strong's Concordance. 111 means can also mean answered prayers, and it can mean transition. So this is something that I want to be able to do, and I got something coming for y'all. I do. You just haven't. I'm working on it right now. But what you're doing right now, if you listen to my instruction, you're going to be prepping for that. Okay. The only thing I need for you to respond as well is if you don't want me to bring this up as public information, meaning blog, what you recall, blog, content, so on and so forth, I'm gonna need for you to put underneath of it, don't post or don't comment. You understand what I'm saying? Or that you don't want it made public, because I take these kind of content topics and use them in relation to either becoming different content, and I keep your name out of it, but you understand what I'm saying. So this is me like getting the permission. So this is my premise and my permission to let me know, no, I don't want you talking about this. No, yes, I do. Or it doesn't matter to me as long as you keep my name out of it. You understand what I'm saying? So let me know. And go to that post, and I'm going to see if I can try to make a prayer request post for you guys. Okay? So until next time, much love, faith, peace, and blessings to you.